Hey guys, how's it going? It is Eve, and today we are going to be taking a look at how to create contracts in EVE Online. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the skills that you need in order to create contracts or create more contracts. We'll be taking a look at the types of contracts, and we'll be taking a look at how to create those types of contracts. So first up, what is a contract? Contracts are a way of creating a formalized agreement between two entities for the transfer or transportation of items and ISK. Unlike the trade window, a contract cannot be altered by the owner once it has been submitted, thus making scams much less likely, although far from impossible. Contracts may contain items not for sale on the regional market, such as blueprint copies, assembled and fitted ships, and in fact are the only way to sell such items without direct player-to-player trading. Next up, we'll be taking a look at the required skills for creating contracts. By default, you do not need to have these skills trained in order to create contracts. However, they do allow you to create more. So our first skill is called contracting. For each level of this skill, the number of outstanding contracts is increased by 4 up to a maximum of 21 contracts at level 5. The next skill is advanced contracting. For each level of this skill, the number of outstanding contracts is increased by 4 up to a maximum of 41 at level 5. The final skill is corporation specific and only targets corporation contracts, and it is corporation contracting. For each level of this skill, the number of concurrent corporation/alliance contracts you make on behalf of your corporation is increased by 10 to a maximum of 60. This skill has no effect on contracts you make personally. There is no limit on the number of contracts a corporation can assign to itself, and corporations have a hard limit of 500 outstanding public contracts. So how do you go about accessing the create contract window? In order to do that, you need to click on your Neocom, go down to finance, and then click on contracts. This is the contract window, and if you click on the create contract button at the bottom, it will open the create contract window. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the contract types, a quick brief overview of the 3 that you can create as a player. First up is the auction type. Think of this as eBay, really, in EVE Online, where you can create a auction contract for a specific item, starting at, for example, 5 million, with a buyout price of 10 million, and people can bid on the item in between the 5 and 10 million. Auction contracts do run for a maximum of 2 weeks and a minimum of 1 day. So next up, we have courier contracts. These contracts get your items from point A to point B. So for example, in my case, Courier Prime, and if I wanted to ship something out to Jita with the use of Red Frog or Push X, I would create a courier contract to them with a proper reward and collateral for the items that I am moving. Collateral is in the sense if your item is destroyed while it is being transported, you will be paid the collateral for that item. The final contract type is item exchange. Item exchange allows you to trade items through the contract window. You can create a buy contract and you can create a sell contract. More on that will be discussed later on in the video, but this is also a way to sell fitted ships to your alliance or to public contracts if that is your thing. Next up on the window, we're going to be taking a look at availability. The availability is pretty common sense, but it does have some caveats. So public means it will go towards the public contracts and it is available for everyone in New Eden that looks up your contract. Private is specifically targeted towards players, corporations, and alliances. You would need to type in the name of the corporation, alliance, or player that you want to have this contract targeted to. So if I went and put in my corporation name of Simtown, it will now create a contract that is targeted to my corporation. My corporation, this also means that you can create a contract without having to type in the name directly to my corporation, and only my corporation members will be able to view and accept that contract. My alliance is the exact same as corporation, however it is targeted at my alliance only, and only members of my alliance are able to see that contract. On behalf of Simtown Master Wallet, this means that the contract will not be created by my character, it will be created by my corporation, and it will be available under contracts in the same way it would be for a alliance member. However, it would be coming from my corporation instead. How to create a auction type of contract. Make sure that you click on auction type, set your appropriate availability. In our case, we're going to just be keeping it as private for the sake of the tutorial and using my corporation name. Remember, this can be a player, corporation, or a alliance name. We'll be leaving the my corporation, my alliance, and behalf of Simtown, so we're not going to be using any corporation assets for this, so we'll hit next. This is where we are now going to be picking the items that we want to include with our auction. So in this case, we'll be using this magnate. We'll select it by clicking the check mark. You can select up to 200 items in order to include. We'll hit next, and we're going to get a warning, a non-empty ship. So the ship you are entering a non-empty ship into this contract, and it lists all the items that are inside of this ship, both fitted and in the cargo hold. Yes, we want to create this contract, and now we can include the starting bid. We'll put the starting bid at, for example, 500,000 ISK. Alternatively, you can click the estimated price and it will use the regional market value, but it will not include all items in the ship. Buyout price, we'll put this as 10 million ISK. So if somebody wanted to just buy out the contract right away, they would pay 10 million. Otherwise, they will be bidding for at a starting price of 500,000. Auction time, you can set 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, or 2 weeks. For this tutorial, we'll be setting 2 weeks. The description is recommended that you always put it in if this is going onto a public contract so people know what it is. So in this case, we'll just use Magnet Exploration Fit. Click next, and this is your confirmation page of your contract. So the contract type is auction, description is Magnet Exploration Fit, availability is private and it's only set to my corporation. So if you click on it, you get the corporation. Do make a habit of always clicking the availability, the highlighted specifically when you create a contract, to double check you are sending it to the proper person. The location of the item that our exploration frigate in this sense is in Courier Prime, the expiration, which is the 2024, the 20th of January. So in 14 days, there's no sales tax and it does cost 10,000 ISK to create this contract, and there is no deposit. Starting bid is at 500,000, buyout price of 10 million, and these are the items that are inside of our magnates. So if you did buy out this contract, you'd get 1 magnate, you'd get a micro warp drive, 7-tier personal overseer's personal effects, capsule, cascade, fireworks, and so on. Once you are happy, you can hit finish. It'll give you one last confirmation to double check that everything is correct. Alternatively, you could just hit do not ask me again, but I like to keep this on just to double check everything. So once you're happy with it, you can hit yes. Your contract is now completed. 10,000 ISK has been removed from your account, and this is your contract. And congratulations, you have now created an auction contract. How do you create a courier contract? Once you have your create contract window open, click on Courier, set the appropriate availability for your contract. For this tutorial, we'll be using private, and we will be using my corporation of Simtown. Hit next. And this is where you are going to be selecting the items you want to include inside of your courier contract. Just note, depending on how you want this stuff transported by freighter, by bowhead, or by jump freighter, there are specific requirements depending on the service you are using. So in this case, Push X or Red Frog do have their requirements. For the sake of this tutorial, we'll go very basic and we'll look at those services in another video. So we are going to select the 7-tier Overseer's personal effects. We'll hit next. And this is where we want it shipped to. So in our case, we are going to ship it to Jita. We can type in Jita, select search, and these are going to be every single station inside of Jita. So here is a Jita 4-4, Caldari Navy Assembly Plant, which is the main hub. We'll select it, hit OK. The reward, once again, depending on the services or how fast you want this item moved, they may have a set reward for the freighter pilot or whoever it is moving your item. So for the sake of this tutorial, let's say because Jita is very far away, we'll put in a 20 million ISK reward. So down here it'll say this route is 46 jumps and I am paying 435,000 ISK per jump. The collateral, so how much is the 7-tier overseer personal effects worth? We can quickly go and double check that by going to our item hanger, and we can see that it is worth about 600,000 ISK. So for our collateral, we could click estimated price. It'll tell us that it is 600,000 ISK. For this, we'll go ahead and use that price. So now that said, if the freighter pilot or the individual transporting your item were to die with your item, you will be getting 600,000 ISK returned to you. Expiration, you can have 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, or 4 weeks. Depending on the service, they will tell you what to select. For this tutorial, we'll hit 4 weeks. Days to complete, this is how long the freighter pilot has to move your stuff. So in this case, we'll only give them 1 day, but I don't know how their work life schedule is, so we'll give them 14 days. Description is the same as before. It's really just describing the item you want moved over, or a simple thank you. Really kind of depends. So in this case, we'll put in overseer personal, and once all that's filled out, we'll hit next. And now we can see the confirmation window for our contract. The description, or rather contract type, is courier. Description is overseer personal. My availability is set to private in our case, so it's set to our corporation. Once again, make a habit of checking that you are putting it in properly and you are sending the contract to the proper corporation, player, or alliance. The location of the item is in Courier Prime. The expiration is in 28 days, so February 3rd is when this contract will expire. The sales tax, there is no sales tax. Broker fee of 10,000 ISK. Deposit, there is none. So the reward will be 20 million ISK. The collateral will be 600,000, so the freighter pilot will be paying 600,000 ISK in order to accept your courier contract. They will get the ISK back, provided they successfully ship your item to its intended destination. In our case, the destination is Jita 4-4. We gave them 14 days to complete this contract, the volume, and then the item that is inside the contract. Once you are happy and everything does make sense, click on Finish. You'll get the Really Create contract. Just make sure that everything matches up and select Yes. So there you go. The contract that has now been created, 20 million ISK has been taken out of our wallet. That is going into the reward section, along with the 10,000 ISK required to create the contract. So 20 million, 10,000 ISK has been removed from our wallet, and the collateral will be paid by the person transporting it. And that is all it takes to create a courier contract. In another video, we'll be taking a look at services such as PLEX and Red Frog. So for the final contract, we are going to be taking a look at item exchange. This contract is really two contracts combined into one rather. So once you have your create contract window open, click on item exchange. If you are going to be selling fitted ships to a alliance or to corporation for a certain doctrine, or just want to sell more than one ship in Jita, for example, onto the public contracts, click on assembled ships. You will only need to do the whole create contract process once, but it will create all the necessary contracts for however many ships it is you wanted to sell. In our case, we're not going to be using this, so click on item exchange, set your availability to the necessary availability that you need. In our case, it'll be private, and we'll be using my corporation. Hit next, and this is now where you are going to be selecting the items you want in your contract. In our case, we only want to put in the 7-tier overseer personal effects. We'll select them, hit next. So this is now the step where you can split the contract into either a buy or a sell contract. Keep in mind, you cannot do both with one contract. So I will pay cannot be filled in if you have I will receive filled in. So for this tutorial, we are going to be doing a sell contract, and later on in the video, we'll be doing a buy contract. So in this case, I will be paying for a sell contract. We're going to leave that as 0. I will receive is the worth of the item. In our case, it's only 600,000 ISK. We'll use the estimated price to keep things easy, but you can put in whatever price it is you want. Hit yes. Expiration, this is the life of your contract. We'll hit it for 4 weeks, so this contract will stay up and allow for someone to buy it within 4 weeks. The description, we'll just put in overseer personal, and we will hit next. So now this is where our sell contract comes to fruition. Contract type is still item exchange. The description of what it is, so it's overseer personal effects. The availability is only set to my corporation. The location of the item, when it will expire, so it'll expire on February 3rd in 28 days. No sales tax, broker fee of 10,000 ISK, no deposit. This is where I will pay. I'm not paying for my own contract, so it is 0 ISK. I will receive 600,000 ISK from the person buying the item, and they will receive 7-tier overseer personal effects, and there is no items required. When we hit finish, do you really want to create this contract? Yes. And there you go. You now created a sell contract. So in this case, the buyer will be paying 600,000 ISK and they will get 7-tier overseer personal effects. So the final type of item exchange contract is going to be a buy contract. So the same thing applies as we are going to be creating a sell contract. So we're going to hit item exchange. We'll set the availability to private for my corporation. Your needs may vary. We'll hit next. And instead of selecting an item here, we're going to just jump over it and hit next. So I will pay is going to be filled out this time. So for example, let's say I want to pay 5 million ISK for the item I would like to buy. So in this case, we're going to leave I will receive blank. The expiration will leave it at 4 weeks, but it can be 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, or 4 weeks. So we'll leave it at 4 weeks. The description is, we'll go buying PLEX. And now, well, we need to tell the contract what item we want in exchange for 5 million ISK. So we're going to click on also request items from buyer. We'll click on that and you get a new line. So in this case, we're just going to type in PLEX. And when we click anywhere else, you will get a select item type if your item matches a lot of different items. So in this case, we're going to scroll down to PLEX brackets accessories and select OK. The quantity of PLEX, in this case, we'll leave it at 1, but you can set it to whatever it is you want. We'll hit add item. Make sure you click on add item. And now it has been successfully added to your contract. You can put in a whole lot of items if you would like. We'll be going over scam contracts in another section of this video, so do stay tuned for that because it is very easy to get scammed on contracts. Once you have added your item of 1 PLEX or whatever it is you are selling, click next. This is the confirmation once again, so it is an item exchange. We're buying PLEX. It's only available to my corporation. It is the location of Courier, so if you want to get this item, you need to come to Courier Prime, Planet 5, Moon 2 in order to accept this contract and get the 5 million ISK for the 1 PLEX. Broker's fee of 10,000 ISK, no deposit, sales tax is none. So I will be paying 5 million ISK, so 5 million ISK will be deducted from my wallet in conjunction with the 10,000 ISK broker fee. I will receive 0 ISK and I will be getting 1 PLEX. So when I hit finish, do you really want to create this contract? Yes, I do. So this is your buy contract. Now, once again, you can see everything it is, and the buyer will be getting 5 million ISK and the buyer will be paying 1 PLEX. And that is how you create a buy contract using contracts. Get some scam contracts, just a few to get the idea of them. Vegeta is notorious for scam contracts, and well, looks like people moved over to the hypernet now as opposed to spamming contracts all day. So here is an example of a scam contract. This is involving PLEX. So this guy wants to buy 2,000 PLEX, but he's only paying 9.35 million ISK for this PLEX. If we had a look at the PLEX market, you can see that it is roughly 5 million ISK to cover all the PLEX. So in this case, if we were to, for example, buy 2,000 PLEX, you can see that it is 10.1 billion ISK that is required to get that PLEX. And this guy is only paying 9.35 million. So you are being scammed out of your PLEX in this contract. This is another example. Also 1500 PLEX I would be paying and only getting 7 million ISK back. So once again, 1500 PLEX is about 7.6 billion, not 7 million. A lot of people will quickly be clicking on contracts and being, oh look, 7 million, not 7 billion. So that is pretty much a scam contract. There is a lot of variations, but while I was looking, it is very difficult to actually see them anymore. Before, it was a notable one was where a certain person would link 3 ships. For example, let's say Gila. The first Gila would be 1 million, but it'd be a deleted contract, so you could still link it, but you couldn't accept it. The second ship would be another Gila, also for 1 million, but it would be a deleted contract once again, thinking that, oh, someone actually accepted it and got a Gila for 1 million ISK. Then the final ship would be a open contract, much like this one. However, it would be, you would get a Gila for 1 billion ISK. So there is a lot of variations. Be smart, read the contract before you accept it, and make sure it is not a scam contract. One other scam contract, but this has long since been the case, it is no longer a thing, but it is something to be wary of, is courier contracts, where some people might look at paying you a certain amount, but in reality they're waiting at the destination to kill you for those items that they set up. Another one used to be where citadels would be private, meaning you couldn't dock in them. You would accept this contract, pay you a ton of ISK, you get to the destination and you can't deposit it, but the collateral was 10 times the reward, and you would have to lose your collateral in order to really deal with the contract. But since then, CCP made it that you can deposit into private citadels regardless of if they are public or private. And those are just some examples of scam contracts in EVE Online. And that is it for this video, guys. Hopefully this made sense, and hopefully you can now create contracts within New Eden. Fly dangerous. Peace.